Welcome back. Today I'm going to be disassembling this 2001 Mxz500 liquid cooled sled. The camera is sitting, you can probably see a little bit of the yellow of the hood there on the Mxz440 that I'm going to end up putting this driveline into. So I may have kind of mentioned that before, but I've got an Mxz Snowcross 440 chassis. I just think it's cool. I found this sled that's minus track, chain case, and that's really about all that's missing. It's pretty rough, but it runs. Well, it did run. I've already started disassembling it, but it was running. It runs pretty good, so I think I'm going to be able to take this engine, wiring harness, computer, all that stuff, plop it into the 440 chassis, and have something that runs and rides. It's not my ideal power plant for this sled, but it was cheap and it works. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to start tearing this apart some more. My number one goal for this for today is to get the engine out. I haven't really decided what I'm going to do as far as the wiring harness goes yet. There's some stuff I'd like to do on the other chassis before I really start reassembling it. And I may end up leaving the harness in this so that it's all routed properly and ready to go, and then when I swap it over, it's as easy as just lift it out, set it into the other sled. So I'm not 100% sure what I'll do with that, but I am going to have to do some things like remove the carbs. The computer here is going to at least have to go away a little bit. The oil tank, which I don't plan on using, it's going to be removed and set off to the side. One of my issues I'm going to run into here is the belt. I'd like to save this belt. The secondary clutch does not open, so something's seized up inside of there. It doesn't want to open up and release the belt. I didn't fight with it too hard, but it didn't want to go, so I didn't really try to force it. So with that said, I'm just going to go ahead. I'll start by our fuel lines, which that's something I'll have to address before it goes in. I've already started pulling the carbs off. So we've got round slide, dual carbs. This whole sled is just real nasty on the outside. It's pretty typical of something that you would see towed on a trailer that didn't have a salt guard. So it's in pretty nasty shape underneath here. Everything's corroded real bad. It's kind of one of those things that's a little bit par for the course for an older sled. These carb boots are also rotted out pretty good. There is definitely some stuff that I will have to address before I put it back in, if I have any hopes of it being a reliable sled, which I really hope it is. But I'm going to try to do as little as possible. So here's the real problem I'm running into. I don't particularly want to cut this belt because they're expensive, and I don't really have anything that's going to cut this. These are actually pretty strong and hard to cut. I don't have my clutch puller here. I'm working with a rather limited tool selection, and this secondary won't open. So these Ski-Doo secondaries usually open really easy. In fact, they've got a hole here that you thread a tool into, and it spreads the secondary. Or you can take them, spin them backwards, and shove them open. Either one of those options does not work on this one. Something seized up in it. I have a different secondary on the other sled that I'll probably end up using because I'm sure it's probably a better secondary anyway. So I'm gonna struggle with this for a little while because I just can't quite get the movement. And if you look at our adjuster bolt down in here, that baby is a solid ball of rust, so it's not gonna go anywhere. And this is just gonna kind of be difficult, and I mean, I'm sure I'll get it eventually, but it is not gonna be real fun. And it turns out it's not really that big a deal when you realize you just don't care about it. So now we've got the secondary out of the way. Take our belt off. I'm gonna keep that. That's hopefully a good belt. And one more coolant line and this motor's ready to come out. Well, one more coolant line and a recoil and an oil pump wire. As I was pulling this engine out of the sled, it started to rain, so I'll finish it up in here. Long story short, engine's out. I don't have a garage here, so it's currently in my basement. I drywalled and painted in a little corner here. I don't have my toolbox yet, but I do have a small area to work in this basement. Not as good as the stuff that you've seen in some of my earlier videos where I had the full-on shop to work with, but that is what it is. And I kind of explained that in a different video. But anyway, so the engine's out. There's some stuff I don't love about it. I'm going to grab the camera and show you that. So there are a couple of things that are not great about this motor. And like I said earlier in the video, this is definitely an engine that was towed on an open trailer. This whole sled was towed on an open trailer. That's why it's rusty and nasty. A lot of your sleds from areas that people travel to ride. So like right now I'm in a spot where there are no trails and there's not really enough snow to ride anyway, but a lot of people own snowmobiles. A lot of the stuff from this area is real nasty, and it kind of comes down to what type of trailer they used. If it's an enclosed trailer and they go far enough north, the sleds are probably alright. But if you've got something like this that was on an open trailer probably its whole life by looking at it, your stuff's going to be pretty gross. So they are what they are. So there's heavy corrosion everywhere. I don't really love that. This pipe, actually, so this pipe here is off of this sled. It's why it wasn't on there already. I had somebody braze up the holes in it. So there were several holes. I've got them brazed. A new pipe would be better, but I haven't really come up with one yet. And this should work to at least prove the concept of this sled working with this motor. So with that said, this area is probably a little bit on the crusty side as well. I wouldn't be surprised, like right here is awful wet, so there's probably a hole somewhere. We'll get it fired up. I didn't really want to try to take these bolts off. I still really don't want to take those bolts off. One area that I do have that really kind of concerns me is, I haven't had one of these apart yet, but it looks like this ring right here is an adapter onto the mag side of the motor. I've got a crack forming through here, right through the bolt hole and right out through that piece. It's also cracked down on the bottom side, but I'm not going to lift it up and show you that. And the intake boots, I'm sure you can probably see that. They are cracked real bad. So kind of at a minimum, I need to do some intake boots. I'd kind of like to take care of this cracking. I'd really like to clean the thing up, but I'm not sure that that's really going to happen. Just time and whatever. So we'll see what happens there. But that's it. I got to get the clutch off of here. I don't have tools right now, so this is going to be a slow process. So that's it. This engine runs. It runs good. I've really got to resist the urge to church it up too much. But there are a few things that I really do need to do if I want it to be anywhere near reliable. So I'm going to have to figure out the balance on that. I'm sure I will put it up on the YouTubes here while I do that. And thanks for watching. I'll have more stuff on this sled. I have things from the summer that I haven't done yet. Got all kinds of automotive or power sports or engine related videos that are going to be coming down the pipes. So hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.